get the nuance there, and figure out what kind of overlay or UI little tweaks I want to put into enhancing said video. While we're waiting for our Season 3, that might be something I'll just experiment with for next week. And I think I'm going to do the Orca Battleship one, since that's generally going to be a very simplistic one to at least get into. It's going to require a lot of specific stuff, though, after that. At least a lot of understanding of the artifactions to help minimize a lot of potential damage, and even to prepare for when you're getting kited heavily, especially by like something like Eldari. That's the idea, at least. I'm gonna at least that'll be the starter. That'll be the prologue, as it were, or at least the trial run. Episode 0, who knows? I don't know what to technically call it. Otherwise, let's focus on the macro cannons, which is technically what this fleet is, even though I have a despoiler. And the only reason why I had this spoiler is because I like the idea of just not having my engines die on me at the very beginning of a match, ideally. So I want the spoiler to take a lot of the initial damage. Ideally. And since I apparently had the points to sneak in an additional frigate, I now have 2 frigate squads to kind of utilize here. And with Micro Warp Jump, I could have this jump in with my Carnages, or even my frigates. It serves as great bait that way. Sort of. Do I want to go this way, though? I kind of want armor-piercing ammo, so mission anticipators would be great here, so maybe I have... I can have the frigates grab that point, who am I kidding? It's so far out of the way, it's not a huge loss to have those just delayed.
Unstoppable!
Now, otherwise, what are we up against here?
Show us our victims!
I probably didn't need a mission anticipator all that much. It helps to get my momentum going, at least. That's the main benefit of it. So then I can start pressuring and look for... Oh, a lot of Grand Cruisers. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. And that means no frigates as well. And they all have 600 shields. I gotta be mindful of their mobility, but they don't have the 83 armor. So I could just stay at range and do a lot of damage to them with that said. And if possible, position these frigates for when they make a beeline for my flagship and try and get easy kills, as it were. Since I don't expect my bombers and that to do very well here.
Moving to those coordinates.
Let's hold that thought.
Area.
I'm gonna get my Carnages in better position. And let's just set priority there. Actually, you're gonna be priority 2 in case, and you're priority 1. I just don't have the fall off accuracy reduction.
We'll follow your command.
It's the only problem here.
For the War Master.
And they just straight up have better firepower than me.
Area.
So Stasis Bomb's gonna be really important for this.
Retros activated.
But if I can get some critical hits, that might help.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Reporting.
Alright, we're gonna Micro Warp Jump now, because it can technically still shoot.
As the War Master wills.
It's not gonna be the most convenient angle, and maybe I could have launched bombers right away. And I have better speed than them too. Let's not kid ourselves.
You have seized a strategic area.
We stand ready.
Now we have 3 objectives that are about to steal mine, but if I can get good critical hits, that's not a big issue. This is kind of wish I would like to go after engines, but we're not even hitting the generators with that said. Because I could just outrun them really easily, I'm just not doing the damage I would like.
To the slaughter! For the ruinous powers!
So that's something I'm going to have to be cautious of. But my opponent did burn a lot of their combustion gauge, so I'm kind of okay just kiting.
Engines hot!
And get these 2 frigates in position.
The enemy is seizing
Yeah,
one of your
permanent deck
strategic
destruction is kind of a
areas.
big deal there. We'll make you priority 1, I guess, for now. Make it
The
easier
enemy
to
has
focus
seized
fire.
a strategic
Maybe.
area.
Since learning with the Shadow Lances and all that, this may not be the most practical way, just rely on lock-on target.
Marching. To the slaughter!
And if I could get away with reload, that helps a lot with my mobility too, but I'm just straight faster than them, let's not kid ourselves.
We'll follow your command. For
I just
now,
need the range at this point. Since these are all Avengers, aren't they? Yep.
your orders.
There is no reason for me to get close to begin with. So I need to do hard and disengage is the plan.
Stand ready.
And keep an eye on my combustion gauge as well.
War Master. Show us our victims.
They are getting shots on me, but I have better range still. Actually, let's go reload.
Ordnance.
This will help me some.
Your orders.
And we are getting hits in, although... Oh, they just conceded. Well, that was not exciting. But in all seriousness, why would I get in close to that much firepower? If anything, it would have been better if I just got rid of the armor-piercing ammo and just switched out to demonic, what is it? Demonic Sight. That would have been much more better there, because I have no reason whatsoever to get in close. So maybe that's how I should play, or prepare against the Imperial Navy in general, since they have, well, in all honesty, how many carnages, if I really want to go that route, could I get in theory? Since it goes without saying, they did not even have a single frigate. So I can get 6 carnages, which is obviously a lot weaker than a bunch of Avengers. Hell, how many repulses I can get? Because these are technically just like the Overlords. As close as you could get to an Avenger, and even then, I can only get 5 of them. Wow. You are getting a lot of value there, and that kind of demonstrates a bit of my point, why I should never get in close. All their ships seem to be, at least the Grand Cruisers, are ridiculously affordable. Hell, it's just 200 points for a single Avenger, for crying out loud. That answers that question, good god. The Dominator's like, I would almost argue a better version of the Avenger just because of the 83 armor, and never mind the Novacan. But when you factor in the extra boring damage as well as the critical resilience that the Grand Cruisers have, there could be an argument for the Avenger being better. Just at face value, I would argue that the Dominator might be better. Especially with some of it, well, never mind, I thought one of these macro batteries were longer range. I'm wrong on that factor. I'm tempted to go all Dominators or at least all Novacan type of fleet, but that's kind of what the Mars Adeptus Mechanicus is for, isn't it? And I'm kind of expecting to play against the same opponent, so hell. Oh, didn't I delete you? I thought I got rid of some of these fleets. That may have been from when my PC crashed on me, so we'll get rid of some of these fleets I don't care about. And ideally have my tomb ship as the flagship again. Oh, you are a flagship, okay. I had to be sure of that. Because I do want to experiment if I want to stick with one of my shrouds potentially being... What am I trying to say? Shrouds potentially being the flagship for more usability of some of these damage abilities. Or have the flagship, or have my tomb ship be the flagship for more survivability and utility. Especially with 4 charges of Scarab Swarm, which isn't really all that good of a regeneration ability, mind you. So, it's been so long since I really played Necron seriously, since I'm just bitter and sad that my Shroud fleet's not really practical anymore. I had just discovered that fleet prior to doing my focus on Necrons, and then basically immediately after, it just got taken away from me due to the capture mechanic change and all the changes in general with the light cruisers and just the entire game, I suppose. But mainly the capture objectives. I can sort of understand the argument a little bit especially for the frigates, since that's really all the frigates ever did was just grab objectives and never really contribute to the battle itself, which, well, I wasn't expecting a mirror match. So I'm expecting maybe double tomb ships, if I were to be serious. We'll see how this goes. I don't recognize the name a whole lot either way. But no. Yeah, it's allied Necron ships with the same radius, okay. So in theory this should still work against my opponent. Do I want mass recall? I think my shrouds are perfectly safe just with their higher mobility. Lightning Link's going to be difficult as hell to utilize though. Both these damage abilities are going to be really important, but incredibly difficult to capitalize on. Unless I want to go really boldly aggressive. And they're immune to fire, so we don't care about a lot of that. And I gotta remember, the hotkeys are different, especially for the damn scanner pulse. So, I can't rush it. As far as using these hotkeys, it's gonna be a pain. Now the big question, do I just want to jump and start grabbing points right away? That's the only thing I'm not sure of. I probably don't, since I don't want to give away too much. The tomb ship's just relatively safe regardless, so maybe you should jump.
What is your command?
And this looks like, as I would suspect, 2 tomb ships. So we do have a bit of our work cut out for us here.
I am the dynasty's
God damn it! And that failed immensely. I'm gonna go with it. Because turning around is gonna take an eternity anyway. And if this match gets decided by the objective or the score up top, that's gonna be a big deal. It's definitely well, I definitely will be kicking myself for that, but I'm more interested on the strategy anyway. I just wish I had not done that move. I should have burned retros or at least just leave it there for a moment. I jumped when I did to kind of speed up my movement towards the middle of the map. Because it's safe to say the flagship is the shroud, or, well, it's not really a shroud, it's always the second. Let's be honest. That tends to be what it always is. And actually, isn't me or D's going the same different speed? I'm gonna have to make a important note of that if that's true. And that's a frigate there, but I'd rather just kill that first, or at least bore it to death. Even if I have limited charges. But at the same time, they only have a single frigate. So, once I do jump in and board it, then I should be in good shape. Okay, they have dirge. That's what I meant about the dang hotkeys, goddammit. So that's screwed up horribly. Because they just, for some reason, they're changing the hotkeys there. It's not very, it's a little annoying.
All power to multi-units.
And they are dirges, so they're really easy to kill off at least.
Moving.
Whereas my scanner, well, that scanner burnt his scanner pulse not that long ago. Oh, there's actually something in here, so we're gonna spot that in a moment anyway.
Ready to serve.
Can I at least get a range? Because they, oh, the tomb ship is also the flagship. Wait, there's nothing in here?
How may I serve?
Huh. Probably flew a little bit down here, if I had to guess maybe. If there's anything at all. Nope. That was just a weird look. Because it seemed like there was something in that objective. I just, call me crazy or not.
On the march.
And this is going to jump really quickly.
Is your command inevitable?
And see if we could burn. Well, let's see. These are 2 fire squadrons.
Yes, my liege.
When am I trying to force a star pulse generator for? I'm wondering. I'm trying to remember. Oh, and you have the pulse on your charge.
How may I serve?
Because I still have 2 more. Alright.
Inferior vessel sighted.
If they only. Huh, okay, so they have no light cruiser, maybe, is what I'm looking at here.
What is your command?
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
And did we kill that? I don't know if we actually did or not. I don't think we did. Well, 54 points, so we killed something. That's all I know there.
All power to motive units.
Let's see if this has damage potential, because I can regenerate my health. They have the other tomb ships not supporting, so these two doom sites are actually going to do decent amount of damage. Decent, but not quite enough with only single squadrons to them.
They are doomed.
The enemy has seized.
It's going to take a while for you to turn
area.
around.
I am the dynasty spear.
Now, do I immediately go? Well, you don't have a stance on. I'm just realizing.
Weapons array.
The
It should have
enemy
been.
has
I was
seized a
wondering if I should have
strategic area.
regenerated, but we're fine.
Inevitable.
You have seized
I'm just
a
not going to get the
strategic
pulse
area.
just yet.
Ready to serve.
Now, I got to keep mine.
Yes, my liege.
My lightning link, because it's really important to take advantage of that.
There will be no escape.
Because my weapons are getting destroyed, I can regenerate it. Again, lightning link is important, and
Moving.
tomb ship's a really awkward position for that.
What is your command? On the march. I serve your glory. Enemy vessels.
Okay.
suffer critical damage.
Can I do the lightning link damage I want?
As you ready to serve. Draw void anchors.
So that's likely going to jump in a moment, you would think anyway.
Boarding successful. Frayed ones are feasting.
No, I can't do the regeneration, alas. But that is still amazing damage. I just got to recover my health now and make this die. Since when I launched fighters, I lost that. Well, did I PM Miracle Reconstruction? Because it's 3 minutes for crying out loud, so maybe I did use my
The
reconstruction.
enemy has seized a strategic area.
Either way, can we kill this thing off? That would be a big boon to my firepower.
What is your command?
I still have multiple charges.
Assembling coherence.
The enemy has accumulated 25% of strategic.
And I would like to...
points.
Ooh, that thing's almost dead on boarding anyway, or at least it lost a third of its crew, so... Ideally, I want to keep boarding this. I still have to wait 10 seconds for that, though. And I'm in a really awkward position for having these light cruisers actually contribute.
Energy to recoalescence. Impossible.
There, that'll help alleviate that. This is gonna hurt a lot of my own my own tomb ship, but
Yes, my liege.
in theory, we could do something about that ship.
Inevitable.
I want to boost up these guys' morale a bit too.
We are death.
Can I keep jumping? Yeah. I just need to kill this cursed thing. Hey, you're stealing my idea, you dick.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Because this crew is basically really close to death right now. I just need to do the damage necessary to kill it.
Energy to weapons array.
Is a bit of the problem. Actually, this will help. This will help a lot.
How may I serve?
You have accumulated 25% of strategic points.
Now, can we just board this and finish off the rest of the crew? And just in case you're wondering, Al, since I don't have like a bot on this channel, I've been streaming for about 20 minutes so far, so you only missed out on one match. Wasn't really all that exciting of a match either.
Ready to serve.
Now, give me one more boarding action. This is taking an eternity because we're just because of the 83 armor and most of our weapons having no armor piercing, we're just watching two people just slap each other endlessly. Hell, this thing's about to lose all its morale too. And I'm gonna lose because of the objective, potentially. Potentially there. Because that boarding's done. We just gotta get the objectives now.
I serve your glory.
I talked about it possibly biting me in the ass, and I went the wrong way.
How may I serve?
Can I lightning strike? No, I used up all my charges. Actually, can I launch some more fighters? Do I have any more
The
fighters to
enemy has
shoot this?
accumulated 50% of
I do have a
strategic
lightning.
points.
I do have a way to deal with this, maybe. Why you no jump, damn it?
Drop void anchors.
Jeez. Talk about cutting it down to the wire for crying out loud, jeez.
Inferior vessels sighted.
I should be able to regenerate enough here. I just gotta make sure this thing survives.
Come on.
Because my lances, my lightning link's easily gonna hit, and I have regeneration now.
Inevitable.
I just gotta grab these cursed objectives now.
All power to motive humans.
Because not getting this first objective is easily gonna be my undoing. But I think we're in good shape now, I just gotta kill off this one here.
Initializing motive power.
You have seized a strategic area.
And do I have any more fighters? No, they got shot down. No, they just conceded. Good God. That thing was threatening to kill my flagship. I was not expecting that till the last moment, and even then. My frigate was supposed to be the conduit for my lightning link. Still, they had no light cruiser, and even then, normally, the light cruiser for the service their flagship and have the mass recalls normally a second the really cheap light cruiser, so normally that would not be very impactful. It's only what? Four lightning arcs that are the same firepower as these frigates, so it would not have been a big threat anyway. It makes their firepower even worse. Still, how the hell did I survive that against two tomb ships? Well, let's see. They have 20, and then, 20 lightning arcs and 3 gauss particles, so arguably I had more lightning links, but didn't have the particle whips to kind of deal with their heavy armor, so maybe I just got lucky there. I wasn't expecting a mirror match, though. I jumped away from Chaos thinking my Imperial Navy friend, if I were going to encounter him again, would at least have a more interesting battle than just watching me run away from him. Which is essentially what happened there. Otherwise, let's try this again with Chaos since I'm suspecting we'll get our same opponent. Suspecting anyway. Because I kind of want to avoid double tomb ships. I kind of see the value. Oh god, okay. For a moment I thought I was Necrons since I was talking about it so much. And I really do need to figure out if there's a way to at least withstand the Nova Cannon onslaught, which, with their inertialess maneuver, there might be possibilities. It seems a little impractical though, but if it can at least dodge a single Nova Cannon, that helps a ton. But right now, the moral of the story is to get in close, since that's where they're weakest. Since it's almost always easy to assume they're going to have 5 Nova Cannons a lot of the time. So I can prepare for this adequately enough. Is that all of them? No, that's not. And then objectives is simple. Do I even need a mission anticipator? While I am going aggressively, I can afford not having demonic sight this time. This I can be certain of. I just want to minimize the amount of free shots they might have with their lances and weaponry. Ideally. And if I could somehow shoot down the frigate, that'd be great too. Where the hell do I want to put this, in all honesty? Well, these are going to be the aggressors, so maybe I want to put them over here. Since my opponent's likely going to deploy here, and this is the most direct route. And then the flagship can just micro-warp jump in. I have that convenience at least.
We stand ready.
Okay, everything boosts forward. You're supposed to be boosting forward, so get to it.
We'll follow your command for now.
Just gotta make sure waypoints are set, so that way they continue to go on the route I have in mind for them.
You have seized a strategic area.
Set engines to full
Now,
ahead.
apparently my opponent's gonna turtle or They're not AFK, that's for sure, because otherwise we'd be waiting the full 2 minutes
Engines hot.
for the timer to run down.
Set engines to full ahead.
I did burn out a lot of my combustion gauge, but that's not a huge issue.
We stand ready.
That should likely recharge before any serious concern, although I would not like to burn combustion gauge on everything, ideally.
Setting course.
Oh, so this is a bit of a different fleet. 4 frigates. Okay. So I guess my opponent doesn't want to assault run. So if I had to guess, these are all cruisers if they have if they're all Nova cans, because they should in theory be able to afford 3 frigates. Good quality frigates, but these are probably the cheaper 200 health ones in that case.
For the War Master.
So I'm just gonna hold fire with these
We'll
and
follow your
get
command.
on a good
For
arc
now.
for my micro warp jump to catch him really off
For the
guard.
War Master.
It's going to be tricky to do since I have no backup fighters to really use my despoiler at long range.
Enemy ship sighted.
Okay, so you have more of those. So you have a bunch of ships.
Reporting.
Alright, so take your fire on that.
Moving to those coordinates. We stand ready.
And keep in mind I have shields.
Executing high energy turn.
So I should be okay with some of these shots.
For the ruinous powers.
Since that's 3 shots right there, so that don't do
Show us
much
our
just yet.
victims. We are unstoppable.
Now I just gotta prioritize my targets appropriately.
Let the galaxy
Oh, that was actually all the Nova cans, wasn't it? So that wasn't as big of a scare as it could have been.
Reporting. We'll follow your command. For now.
Now we just gotta get in there once my Omni sign's spent.
Armada. We stand ready. To the slaughter.
Priority on the flagship.
For the ruinous powers.
And ideally, can we do the damage necessary is the big question.
Retros activated. I cannot master.
You have seized a strategic area.
I have the Omni sign is going to be a bit of a pain.
Show us our victims.
And dang it, my assault crafts didn't do anything. Try as I might to board.
Setting course. Repair the damage at once. Boarding attack
But I want to
successful,
kill this
Master.
thing while boarding everything else, ideally. And this one ship is at least well protected for the time being.
The War Master wills. For the War Master.
Of course, all the boarding I did on this one light cruise is going to mean nothing, is it now? I want to board to potentially kill you off, but we're not getting the result I would like.
Your orders.
It is a drifting hulk though, so I
We
can
are
in theory ignore it.
unstoppable. We stand ready. Show us our victims.
Alright, get everything out, I suppose.
We are.
Oh, it's dead anyway, so that's not a big deal. Just need to kill the flagship now. Can we do that?
You have accumulated 25% of strategic points.
Probably not,
Reporting.
because you can get out easily enough.
As the War Master wills.
That might even burn to death. I just gotta do the damage necessary and break their damn morale. I'm waiting for cooldowns.
For the War Master.
My boarding's taking an eternity, and I don't like it one bit. Because I see a perfect window to deny this one cruiser. Oh, you have Colexis Assassin too, so that's part of the reason why I'm having issues there.
We stand ready.
And hopefully that turns off that one ship
Warp strike successful.
with the boring damage we have.
Reporting.
You brace for impact and just kill off the rest of these.
Our minions
How much health do I have
rampage
left
through
though?
their ship.
Good, that was enough boring damage.
Your orders. Repair my ship or else. Reporting.
I don't think this can get out in time.
You have accumulated 50%
Maybe? Okay, I'm wrong. They made it out.
points.
Just barely though.
Show us our victims. engines hot.
Now get in there and conceal yourself,
For the
ideally,
War Master.
since we did have a mutinied ship.
Engines hot. Warp strike successful, Master.
Sadly,
Your orders.
let's see, I don't have any more combustion gauge, so this is gonna hurt.
Moving to those coordinates.
Can I at least board that?
For the War Master.
The enemy has accumulated 25% of strategic
It took too
points.
long to kill the battleship, so maybe I should have prioritized something different.
Moving to those coordinates.
Since that crew is gone, no, it's not quite gone.
Reporting.
It's close to gone.
For the War Master.
And what kind of light cruisers are these? Because I don't recall. Oh, they're just a carrier
For
ship.
the ruinous powers.
So they're not all that practical, although I don't have the firepower anymore. It's just spent way too much time on the flagship that was aiming for Kulex's assassin too.
Victims.
And now I don't quite have the boring damage I need either, so that's game, I think.
Boarding attack successful.
That may have been a
Master.
mistake going after a flagship, because after all, the amount of time that I didn't get to shoot at it, since I was behind him with an awkward angle, did not really do me much favors. And that light cruiser just took a bunch of damage as a result. And that was the ship I was trying to board, too. Oh no, no Kulex's assassin. Alright. So we're gonna have to try that again. Try and figure out what went wrong in that area. Although, a mission dissipator was kind of pointless, I suppose, too, but... what else is actually useful aside for maybe relying on extra boarding damage? We'll see if we get them again there. That should go pretty well, but I need to be able to constantly focus that fire down to make sure I get that kill, rather than having that weird little mishap where I'm just shooting at multiple different targets when I don't wish to. Or realistically, maybe just shoot at different ships. Although with the flagship gone, that gives them a heavy morale penalty too, which makes it a little bit easier for me to get rid of them at the same time. If not, just kill off more of the crew when they do have a mutiny. So we're getting the Necron fella again. I was contemplating going back to Necron maybe. Or playing with Tyranids, that's a possibility. Which I might do after this. So we're going to have something a little more diverse. It's going to be slow as hell for me trying to kill him though. I can get plasma bombs, and my bombers are going to be so damn important, but at the same time I only have one fighter squadron, so it's not like I can bait out their star pulse generators to open up for said boarding or bombing. It's not going to be the most convenient. But I definitely want plasma bomb to help in that matter. They do have decent boarding, so I may... It's not really useful on cruisers though, but I have 4 charges. And it can't be used at... I would have to lose a third of my crew for that to even be useful. And in all honesty, this pauses their regeneration. Maybe this might be useful. It's only a 20-second pause, so realistically it's only stopping what? As if they have the reactive hull ship, whatever that stance is, that's only like 60, 90 health. That may not even be worth it for a single disruption bomb in all seriousness. Maybe. I just don't know a better alternative with that said. Oh, supercharged void shield, who am I kidding? That might be good enough to tank the hits. I just gotta make sure the spoiler does said roll. No, you were supposed to be silent running, thank you. And we have 40 seconds. And I do want to increase accuracy at range, so... And because they're short range, I kind of can get away with this, sort of. Since as soon as they identify me, they're technically in range. So I'm willing to boost forward there, at least with these ships. And then see about what damage we could do in the meantime. Since we kind of already know what ships they're utilizing At least it's looking like the same double tube ships, at least. I just gotta be very aware of my positioning. Since I'm not gonna be able to have the convenience of a micro warp jump just to get an easy repositioning of this flagship. No, I do not want the menu. And I have to remember, these things have torpedoes too that are gonna be important for this matchup that I can take advantage of. I'm just gonna have to be aware of that. Since kind of what I said earlier, I'm trying to remember what I said earlier. The frigates are kind of like just, almost everyone just uses them for the objectives and not so much for actual combat. But these infidels could be important if I can get any of their torpedoes to hit.
Reporting.
Since I almost quite literally have no real armor-piercing size for this lance.
A strategic area.
And speaking of which, what is my range? I need to know when I can start shooting this. For good effect, too. Because the more damage I can get in there, the better. And I am also in a gas cloud, which helps a lot in this manner.
Retros activated. Your orders.
Okay, you're marked. That's not a big deal. And can I recall this just as it gets vision? Kind of try and preserve my ships a bit. Because yeah, you are going to gas cloud. That's not all that exciting. I just need to deny the star pulse.
Enemy ship sighted.
I was kind of thinking maybe I could make my opponent do a star pulse, but didn't happen there.
Show us our victims.
And everything's marked. Again, that doesn't help you. I just need to get vision, though, is the problem. So, I can do that easily enough. They may see this coming, but hell. Actually, this had to be the one that was also... What am I trying to say? This was also the one that scanner pulsed. But it can still spot them.
For now. Reporting. We are unstoppable. We stand ready.
So you got a lot of frigates. We'll come on over here momentarily.
Show us our victims.
And you jumped away there, just as I figured.
Engines hot.
And we're getting a lot of good damage as a result of this.
For the War Master. As the War Master wills.
Actually, I know what to do with these frigates, sort of.
Reporting.
Because now, you are going to have to take a lot of damage with that ship. And these frigates could just defend my points.
We stand ready.
That's what I'm going to do with these frigates, since I got enough long range to help, and I already did a world of damage to their flags. At least one of their tomb ships.
Enemy ship sighted.
Okay, I was kind of waiting for that there, but we're getting a bunch of damage in. Maybe not as exciting as it could be, but if we can keep hitting the flagship, that helps.
Reporting.
And I can reveal them easily enough. I have enough frigates.
As the War Master wills.
And that will die eventually, so...
Ready.
Oh, and actually, you just jumped that immediately out, so that's kind of inconvenient, inconsiderate of you. I'm not quite going to kill it, but it's going to take a lot of damage at least. So let's just put the pressure on them.
Slaughter them. Your orders. Enemy ship sighted.
Yep, I see you grabbing the objective there.
Moving to those coordinates. Show us our victims.
We can deal with you easily enough.
We stand ready. Retros activated.
These frigates are just going to be my defensive point.
Reporting.
Didn't miss a whole lot just yet.
Unstoppable.
as far as what you missed with your call.
Set engines to full ahead.
We're just dealing a nice slow match with Necrons.
For the War Master.
And this is why I don't like the cruisers getting shot at.
We'll follow your command.
Have them behind everything else, for crying out loud.
Show us our victims. We stand ready.
Now this is a bit of an awkward position for me.
For the War Master. Your orders.
The enemy has accumulated 25% of strategic points.
Dead claws away.
Because, yeah, apparently my opponent wants to kill off all...
Slaughter.
I can't board, but I could start crippling off the crew easily enough.
Accumulated 25% of strategic points.
I want to board you.
As the War Master will.
Can we at least keep hitting this one ship? It is the flagship after all.
Stand ready. We are unstoppable.
It is a bad positioning for me though, with that said.
For the War Master. Retros activated. Moving to those coordinates. Enemy ship sighted. Show us our victims.
Yeah, my flagship's in a bad position here, but...
Minions rampage through their ship.
The enemy is
Can I do the damage
seizing
necessary?
strategic
Not really.
areas.
We'll follow
Not
your
in the
command.
slice.
For now.
I really do need that
The
plasma
enemy
bomb.
has seized a strategic area.
And we at least killed off a third of the crew so far.
Engines hot. Reporting.
Yeah, they did micro warp jump, dang it. I could have waited and try and bait that out some more.
We are unstoppable. We stand ready.
They did also start pulse generator though, so that I have that going for me too. Let me just take advantage of their bad positioning.
The War Master wills.
Since I do have armor-piercing ammo.
Your orders. Retros activated.
Alright, I can easily deal with that.
For the ruinous powers. We stand ready.
And you successfully been boarded, so
Retros activated.
that doesn't help you a whole lot yet.
For the ruinous powers.
Continue with the strategy of boarding
Master.
this one ship here and ideally killing this one off.
We'll follow your command for now.
Flagship is officially gone.
Orders.
The enemy has accumulated 50% of strategic points.
And your crew is real close to death too.
For the War Master.
I didn't use my frigates at all there, but there's an
Moving to
opportunity
those
now.
coordinates.
And actually would have been really damn important too. Although I think it's better to have all my frigates there for said torpedoes that I'm lobbing.
Accumulated 50%
To help increase their
of strategic
effectiveness.
points.
Reporting. Retros activated.
And I could just grab this objective easily.
Setting course.
Just need to keep boarding and finish this off.
Reporting.
And you're Awakening Warrior, so you have to turn that off if you want to actually jump away.
Warp strike successful, Master.
And you're fleeing. That's the best of both worlds. You're not going to lose all your crew, so you can't reactivate it. And I could just steal these points behind you.
We stand ready.
They lose their deck so fast, yeah. Need to be cautious at.
Our minions rampage.
Although, orcs do have the Wog song to help make them immune to morale damage if you time it properly. At least with your flagship being destroyed. And all that, but that was looking really damn awkward for me. Again, I just wish I had my frigates kind of there with the fight, but at least they scared off the one person, the one Dirge that was trying to steal objectives behind me, so it wasn't that big of a loss. Oh, level 6, well, what I basically did is just spam out the skirmish there to level up some, but that's not exactly the most exciting, but what level would you need to be to get access to the Wog song? I think you need to be level 6, so you're almost there for the Wog song. I think, anyway. I just honestly can't remember if you get the upgrades first or the skills. I think it's the upgrades, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. Okay, it's level 7. Never. Or, yeah, it is like level 6 or something like that, I think, anyway. Well, level 8? It shouldn't be level 8 because you get Shocking Sap at level 8. It goes in that order at least. Tractor Can would be level 9, then finally at level 10 you get your... Oh, never. Oh, I'm a complete idiot. That's because of these additional upgrades for... That explains it. If it was any other faction, that would be true. So yeah, I got that wrong. It's just because orcs had to be damn unique with their cursed upgrades. It completely threw me off. Although, I was tempted to go back to Necrons, but it seems like if we're gonna possibly be fighting the same Necron opponent, I don't want to have another mirror match. So we'll see. We'll fool around with some Massive Claw and see if there's a way we can win with this. That'll be the dream. Hello there, Sepriki. I hope I pronounced that properly. Sepriki. Something along that way. I'm gonna stop trying, but welcome to the stream. You're about to see what's probably gonna be abysmal failure. Maybe. We're gonna go with the Massive Claw Tyranids. I just don't know what kind of upgrade I actually would want. You wouldn't think Acid Blow would be that useful, because that requires me running away for that to actually do something. But it might. It might in a stupid manner. I just have no idea what upgrades I want. We'll see what we get first, then I'll worry about upgrades and all that. Woohoo! Turkey hype! I got it accurate. This calls for a celebration, and this celebration is Massive Claw Tyranids. Let's see if we can demonstrate where everyone else is doing it wrong. Maybe. Wishful thinking. But we got a fast match, so I'm wondering if it's the same opponent or not. Oh, this is going to be awkward. How the hell am I going to... Well, I'm going to have to rely a lot on Spore Clouds. Good use of Spore Clouds and catch them off guard. Because we seen when I played Tyranids just the other day that I could kill their ships incredibly fast just on ramming alone. The trick will be getting close enough for a rush to be effective. Now, I want to hang the flagship back, ideally, because I don't have the convenience of giving all my battleships Synaptic Relay anymore. Which I think they actually ended up buffing Synaptic Relay in that sense, because more people are more inclined to go with their battleships, as opposed to the battle cruisers. So I think they arguably made that a buff for them. Although... Pressure Spine's not useful. Beacon could be helpful. Could be. But I do need Spore Field. A Void Lurker... I would love a beacon, maybe, but that would be more for defensive purposes, wouldn't it? Actually, let me get these dang control groups proper too. So you're group 3. I don't quite know what kind of control group I even want in general, but... And you're group 2. There we go. I think we're all set. And I'm going to try to avoid rushing, since that will obviously give away. Or well, I'm just not going to try rushing because after all, the glitchy nature of it is not going to give us an accurate representation of what to expect with most of these matches. And I see 4 ships, so 3 battleships and a single light cruiser.
The enemy has seized a
Oh, never mind, there's a 5th
area.
ship. I couldn't quite get them there. But I am going to avoid the rushes because after all would give away what I'm doing. And it's audible this time anyway, so I can rest easy knowing I'm not abusing an important mechanic. Since I would argue I'm a heavy underdog here. But they have 5 ships, so they do have a frigate of some kind.
You have seized a strategic area.
And this beacon is going where? Just straight down.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
I'm going to have to eventually go straight through, but I'm going to take my time. This squad is isolated, so I'm not going to try and jump over there. Let them have this middle point. The beacon is definitely going to be awkward. But I still have a decent amount of boarding options available to me. At least a lot of ships capable of boarding. The problem is going to be boarding the one ship that's going to be the big threat. Or having them all board the same ship. And there's a boost in there, so it goes without saying they're trying to grab the objective maybe. And that looks like that's just a frigate. I would love to grab that. You had to kill my Massive Claws and it denied me my rush? That sounds a little ridiculous if I were to be honest. So if this could survive for another rush, that'd be great, but I don't think it's going to. Hell, it just mutinied right now. At least we blinded one of their main visions, I think. And we have all their battleships marked, so now it's just a question of how we can take advantage of this little fact. Because you're no longer marked, you could turn around. And their beacon's going to be off cooldown before this expires too, that's another thing to keep note of. We'll let them have their objective for now.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Okay, more boosting here. I want to actually ram you, so can we eat all these ships somehow? Probably not.
Strategic area.
It is the flagship, let's see if we can eat it enough. Because the frigates are still technically eating them right now. Eat everything. I just gotta keep an eye on my rush cooldown. That's a bit of the problem here. Where's my other ships? This is an opportunity of a lifetime to kill these ships, and I need to make it happen. Eat, my friends, eat! Although that one ship has survived, alas, so... And you, in theory, could hide? Oh, you're in a beacon. You can survive just a little bit longer. Eat! Eat! One little request is all I need from you. Thank you, murderer! So close, but still so delectable. Now, if only I hadn't rushed that too much, because now I'm just going to fly past them, aren't I? And also we have one little wild card up our sleeve, although I did mess it up, didn't I? Yep, that was messed up there quite a bit. Nom 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 nom. Because I was supposed to Void Lurker in close, but the Spore Fields are working amazingly, aren't they, when they get caught in it? Which is easier said than done a lot of the time, since the elusive nature of Drukhari in general. Come on, melee. I know you want a melee even if you don't have Massive Claws, or you have temporary damage components.
You have accumulated 50% of strategic points.
Don't ask me how we won that there, but it was the convenience of them just blindly running into me. Since again, only a single frigate, and thankfully, they ran into me before their beacon came off cooldown. So I should be thankful for greedy players who don't take vision really seriously, as I commented before. It's a little bit disappointing. A little bit, but I can understand it being more difficult to control at the same time. But still, I was not expecting to win that. That was messy, that was sloppy, but it was also amazing. Just Krakens everywhere clamping on, and ideally trying to hitch a ride with them, although I don't think that's possible since even their battleships go, what, 280 speed versus the 200 of my Krakens? Just so you know, if you do boarding, you are not weaker against boarding. This is just, we'll just assume it's already preloaded with troops. That doesn't penalize your troop numbers. But no, using boarding torpedoes, using your boarding assaults, does not make you weaker, essentially. It allows you to kill off their crew directly. So I think for mechanics' sakes, we'll just assume that like the boarding options, like the boarding action, the torpedoes, they are not included in your crew since they are already assumed to be used aggressively, I guess. It's kind of weird to describe it on the map, but no. You can use these as freely as you want. You can fire off all those torpedoes, and even if you miss, I'm sure there's some planet somewhere light years away they'll eventually hit. Start a new swarm of Tyranids, in my case especially, and then bring back the infestation of Tyranids even when they thought High Fleet Leviathan was all but extinct. A couple of generations later, a couple of millennia later, there'll suddenly be a surge of Tyranids everywhere for all those missed torpedo shots. So you can rest easy there. You are certainly doing millions upon billions in the future to come. Space Marines though, they have guided torpedoes for crying out loud, so they'll just go to the nearest friendly ship. Oh yeah, Orcs too, they have boarding torpedoes, don't they? Although, to be fair, Orcs never really use torpedoes in general because of the prevalence of mega cannons, but they're there. They're there. And actually, let's try this again. That was such a ridiculous time. Unlikely to happen again, but let's try it again. It's just silly nonsense that I want to see if we can make it work, although there's some weird behavior with the rushes that if you're not already looking at the direction you're trying to rush to, it's a little inaccurate where you're rushing, which can be a really big problem if you're trying to hit frigates or light cruisers. Boarding torpedoes everywhere. Sounds like a fun time. And also, it's really good for your longevity too, just having those 3 extra charges. Even if you... Yeah, because Orcs are pretty good at boarding, so if you can get a good handful of boarding damage on one ship, that ship is essentially dead or at least heavily crippled, so it's still doing the job you have placed for it. Imperial Navy is the most straightforward, is kind of encouraged as kind of one of the big beginner factions without a doubt. That and sort of Chaos, at least that's how they dubbed in Armada 1, being the first 2 factions. They're the most well-rounded, although Chaos may be a lot harder to utilize since you don't have that burst potential. They're all about long-range fire, they don't really have torpedoes, or anything to do damage quickly is the big issue with Chaos. So Imperial Navy is definitely the way to go. As far as where you branch off from there, Tau cruiser fleet can be pretty good pretty effective as well. It follows the same philosophy, you're just a little bit weaker at boarding, in exchange for more mobility. Never mind. Yeah, you're just fragile in troops and hit point value, so that could be a second faction you could branch off from there. Can't really comment too much on that there. You figured there'd be more people playing 2v2 as opposed to the 1v1. You would think anyway, because that's where it's more crazy, although if I remember something like the AMA, weren't they asking if they were going to bring back rankings for 2v2? Even though no one plays anyway, it's not like that big of a deal. It's a shame, I really enjoyed the 2v2. I just couldn't comment on what is making people leave. More than likely it's just how quote-unquote imbalanced the game is, I suppose. And sure, there's a lot of differences because after all, there are 12 friggin' different factions that, and at least most of them, are completely different from each other. Eldari, I would argue, are pretty damn similar, with subtle differences on their playstyle, but they're technically the same kind of factions, the Drukhari, Corsairs, and the Adriani. Anyways, I wasn't even thinking about my placement either at all, so let's fix this, because I'm trying to read the chat in the Twitch stream, trying to read his chat. Hard to, let's see. And you have, Disruption Overcharge, so I don't think I want to recharge my shields faster with that said. Actually, I can easily use a Kraken for this. Let's see. No frigates. Well, if it's 5 Nova cannons, it's almost a given you have no frigates, arguably. Depending on what kind of cruisers you're utilizing. So this could suck for my opponent. Oh, there is a frigate of some kind. Only a single one, maybe. Oh, never mind, 2 of them. It's still a question if these are 5 cruisers or not, though. Or 5 Nova cannons. You would think they're 5 Nova cannons anyway.
You have seized a strategic area.
And I will at least want some of my Krakens to poke forwards to at least serve as maybe the bait for some scanner pulses. Without having my entire fleet gets revealed. That's kind of the dream anyway. Because I'm pretty much a sitting duck until I'm in close. Actually, let's get some spore fields too, for good measure. It's going to be hard to get them in a spore field, but if nothing else, it allows me to use it for concealment. It's a little annoying when you change the sub-factions like that, but thankfully with the convenience of changing upgrades and skills in game, that's not really a factor anymore.
The enemy has
You just gotta
seized
be
a
paying
strategic
attention, it's the
area.
main thing. Let's see. I could reveal, but I can rest easy knowing my ships can kind of advance sort of safely now.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
And in all honesty, I feel like the main strength of this fleet is that
You
it jump at
seized a
multiple of their
strategic
cruisers at the
area.
same time. So that way their firepower is kind of forced to be spread out. So they don't have the convenience of focus firing. And of course, since I rely on hitting in melee, it's almost impossible for me to get all my ships to hit a single cruiser anyway. So that's why I want to try and get this around. Even if it may not be the most optimal in the traditional sense. And we both have 2 objectives at the moment, so I'm in no big rush here. I just gotta be ready to do some damage, maybe. I had to miss with that ram, so that's a shame. And you revealed the flagship too. Well, that's convenient. So that was 4 Nova cans that we saw, so let's get everything in there quickly. Since I kinda need to now. Actually, that's not true if I'm no longer marked anyway. My frigates can conceal themselves. But at the same time, they're the ones I want doing all the damage. I just wish if I did a rush, it would turn off my burn retros. That's what's hurting me right now. And you are on fire, sadly, so you're pretty much dead. But can you get a good ram in? Nope, not quite. So rush and eat. Eat my minions. I can get the rush in time. Ah, just missed it there. But this is this chaos is where I can be strongest if I do it right. This light cruiser's not doing anything, but you can see where my Krakens are hitching for a ride, so. There's a good ram. I like that. Can we get out? No, I don't think I can rush in time. Well, that worked.
The enemy has accumulated 25% of strategic
You're supposed to be rushing. You're not rushing. Eat it. Eat it amazingly. Now, remember the plan. I gotta spread them out and force their fire on different targets, ideally. Oh, I thought that was a Nova can. Go figure, I did it again. I was fooled by my own ability. Ah, so close, yet so far. Eat it. Eat it. Like the Weird Al song, just eat it. Enjoy your Mechanicus potatoes. Or Mechanicus mush, I suppose, is the proper term.
You have accumulated 25% of strategic points.
Now, with a lot of their firepower gone, we should be in better shape. And my flagship's hit them, which is the best case situation, because it's also the most dangerous ship in this fleet with the Void Lurker. Oh, this is fun. This is satisfying. It's so far, it's really damn tense still, so let's not get too carried away. Because you're going to recharge your Massive Claws in a moment. Yeah, eat! Eat! Two ships eating each other. I think they're eating each other right now and not actually eating the cruiser. The sad truth of the matter is. And the shields held up beautifully too. I don't care about Nova cannons so much if I have a shield, although that does still technically give me extra damage. Well, that was about as bad as a start for me as it could have been. Not only did they get a frigate in the middle of my fleet, in the middle of the map, but they technically revealed every single ship, including the flagship. it was only the one sub-squadron that was on the far
You
right
have
that
seized
actually
a
didn't get
strategic
revealed.
area.
And that may have caught them completely off guard as a result, but damn. You figured that would have been the worst case situation for me.
You have accumulated 75% of strategic points.
That was definitely brutal, and it relies heavily on your ability to spot the Tyranids and be able to kite them, but damn it, how the hell did that work out? Because as soon as they get out of range of me, I'm almost quite literally doing no damage if my shields are down. Well, you don't technically need to spot everything. A light cruiser and a couple of frigates aren't too terrifying, at least with this, because those were the only three that weren't revealed, you would think. And they spent most of their time going after a light cruiser. The only thing I would say ramming would be a good alternative, but since this is the one unique case where ramming is probably a bad idea just because of my massive claws.
The enemy is seizing one of your strategic areas. You have seized a strategic area.
Okay. Well, this might. Well, I don't know what I don't know what to say anymore. This match is over, surprisingly. But I really like the potential of Eye Omnisign. Everyone tries to brute force it, or at least use it in a way that they can set up their Nova cannons, but I love the potential of just putting it in front of them and giving me that much more time to shoot at them kind of freely. Although, it does come down to knowing when that's the best route to go, because if they have 83 armor, I'm still killing them incredibly slowly, it goes without saying. But if they're very vulnerable to critical hits, like they have a bunch of cruisers or light cruisers, then that might be the best approach.
You are close to victory by
But against
strategic
battleships,
points.
you're not likely going to kill its engines or anything like that to permanently keep it away from you. Surrogates? I can't remember what the Space Marines use there for their crew, because they, after all, there's only like 1,000 Space Marines per chapter, so just a single battle barge wouldn't even be able to house the entire fleet. So they have to use like their servants or some kind of crew to control those things, while they do the boarding and all that. Yeah, you can create a cage around them, which is something I've seen happen, although you burn a lot of your cannons for that if you want to actually hit them with said Nova cannons. Although the fact that they have no skills probably was a big factor too, let's not kid ourselves. So I did win miraculously in the worst case situation, but they didn't have their Rad Storm, they didn't have their Thunderbolt, whatever the heck this thing's called, their Cybernetic Orb. So that could have changed things a lot. But still, good God, that's a lot of fun to just fool around and ram everything. If I can catch them off guard, then I'm basically having multiple cruisers jumping at like their entire fleet all at once. And the reason I feel that's important for Massive Claw is because it's so easy for me to ram myself with so many ships trying to jump on the same thing. Never mind, it's impossible to get more than like 2 ships hitting the same target in general for ramming. So, and it of course forces their macro cannons to shoot at different targets. They don't get the convenience of focus firing down what they want to kill, which means my shields are so much more powerful in that exchange a lot of the times. But with how the disruption overcharge currently works, that's not really, I can't really rely on my shields to last long. I'm just asking them to turn off all my ship's shields if I have them split their fire. Is a bit of the problem there, and I'm hoping that gets fixed. Yeah, the only problem with the cage, or using like multiple Eye of the Omni signs, is it only lasts like 45 seconds. I honestly don't know what you could bring the Nova cans down to. Well, actually it's not 45 seconds, but it lasts a little bit longer than the actual 30 seconds. I'm curious about that. I don't recall what its rate of fire is when it's on reload. Because yeah, you talk about caging it, which isn't a terrible idea, but you don't have that much firepower left over is the problem. So let's see. Eye of the Omni sign, we'll just do ourselves a little bit of a cage and assume this works. So 42 seconds, so yeah, they can easily get out well. I think, well actually, by the time they all fire, it's at like 30 seconds anyway. So they could get away with it. You could probably do that. I didn't consider the fact that the cooldown is going when you fire. Because since the Eye of the Omni sign is technically still going right now with these little red area effects, it lasts longer than 30 seconds. You wouldn't want to fire it on top of the ship for obvious reasons, because they're going to boost the hell on out. But it's damn close. And actually, now that I think of it, if you trap them with 4 Eye of the Omni signs, and then fire a 5th one afterwards, then that times out perfectly. Fire the 5th Eye of the Omni sign right on top of them, and then all your Nova cans are recharged at that point. Again, that would only work against maybe like Necrons or Orcs after they do their boost. If they have combustion gauge or just high mobility, they can still avoid one of them really damn well. So maybe not the most practical aside for specific matchups. But I understand the thought process now, at least, on how that could work. Now, let's get into some Necrons. Yeah, well, I don't know the lore on all the Space Marine chapters. I think Ultramarines are the ones that are most stabilized and more figure out. They recruit, or at least promise, the glory of being a Space Marines for like those that are in at least the younger children there, and of course the majority of them don't really survive that process due to that technology being long gone. Of course they have to reach a certain level of fitness and peak, but Sicarius is like probably the one example. I can't remember the family name, but it seems like Susian, Sassanian, I can't remember what his last name was to pronounce it properly, but I think they have something going on there where their line is prominent as part of the Space Marines. I think so anyway. It feels like he has a legacy to fulfill, is all I remember from the few books I read that includes Sicarius. But I can't remember a whole lot about the specific nuances in the background of the Warhammer lore. But we do have the Adriani. Torpedoes are going to suck a little bit since I only have one Star Pulse generator to kind of weather that storm the best. Lightning Link's not going to be practical. Scarab Swarm would be great for regeneration. I'm just wondering if I want an inertialess maneuver to help keep my tomb ship alive. Is it even possible it can dodge torpedoes? Because I haven't really played with abilities, so I do want to play with it with that said. Since sadly my flagship is the tomb ship here, so mass recall can't be used to dodge torpedoes in that manner at all. And I have to be very careful with my shrouds. This probably won't work very well for me if they're torpedo-centric. Unless I can get a lot of critical hits early, that's the exception. If I could kill their engines, that hurts their mobility and how well they can avoid me. But hell, I should probably go after the generators with that said, since my weapons always hit and never really miss anyway.
Impossible. Cannot comply.
And I do have, yeah, structural analyzers, so I do want to make sure I constantly mark them for that. So I think I want to destroy the generator with that said. even if they are the cruisers with only a single engine foil or solar sail. There's so much chatting going on. I apologize if I can't read all of it there. You're making it difficult to me. Or making it really difficult for me, rather. But I'll try and join in while I can.
A strategic area.
But we're talking about an area that I have really no knowledge about. We're talking about Space Marine chapters, the process there, and surrogates as well. I honestly can't remember. But I can rest easy. Maybe. Oh, these are probably 3 Phoenixes, aren't they? So maybe I should be okay. Phoenixes I could deal with. Their pulsars are going to be a little annoying, it goes without saying. If they catch my frigates when I don't want them to get spotted, ideally.
Ready to serve.
Really, all I want of these frigates is to just reveal them and get the extra critical hit with the structural analyzer. That's really all I want from them.
How may I serve?
I just do not want to be too far away.
Strategic area.
And here comes the fighters now. Let's at least make use of these fighters some. Try to.
What is your command?
Although that was kind of pointless, I do have a star pulse generator as well, but
Relocating.
it helps reset the cooldown a bit, or at least starts bringing down the cooldown.
Move.
And I gotta keep in mind their range. They have 9,000 range outside maybe the flagship. And they do have...
You have seized
Yeah, they are all
strategic
Phoenixes,
area.
so I'm gonna have to figure out how to best maximize my damage here. Which probably is gonna be the flagship in all seriousness.
Yes, my liege. I am the Dynasty Spear.
I want to ideally jump. Oh, are you really using Auger Disruptor? That's interesting, especially since you haven't really accounted for Shroud the best.
Engaging weaponry.
Damn it, that's not... Again, that cursed hotkey being different is really a pain in the ass.
Ready to serve. Inevitable. How may I serve?
I want to board, so board away. And actually, I did prioritize you, right? Yeah, you're priority 1, so you should be good.
What is your command?
And I can regenerate the engines really well.
I serve your glory.
Oh, and I didn't even put a control group on you. I thought you were control group 3.
What is your command? Inevitable.
I could still hit it there. I just did not get a single critical hit. And apparently I lost my engine again, too. And interestingly, you actually have an engine, or a frigate. Which I don't know if is a good idea for you, but we'll go with it.
As you command. Adopting defensive protocols. Relocating. How may I serve?
And your deck's gone, so I can't regenerate my health at the moment.
Death.
Not yet. That should regenerate in time, you would think. There, generator's actually gone, finally. Thank God. Let's start killing something. Oh, and I didn't even give you... Oh, your deck was gone, that's why. Oh no, I have the upgrade that allows you to shoot.
Initializing motive power.
Yeah, I'm losing my train of thought now. But now you're actually properly marked, so let's do this properly for God's sakes. Ram me! Yes, ram me. And I kind of want to regenerate my shield health some, if I were to be honest. But generator's gone there, it's only temporary damage though, but... Auger Disruptor's not going to help you. I just gotta watch the health on my ships and actually regenerate health on those that took damage.
Boarding successful.
What else can jump? Not really anything just yet. Actually, I can regenerate crew, let's keep that in mind.
How may I serve? Impossible.
We can at least kill off the crew of that one ship pretty quickly.
Moving.
Yeah, its generator is permanently gone, so that's all but dead right now. And even though I haven't had much of an opportunity to get this Shroud Field, or Scarab Swarm effect, I should at least try and regenerate my health some. Yeah, just kill this thing now for me. That's mutiny, that's dead.
You have accumulated 25%
Where
to
the
strategic
frigate's stealing points behind me, so we'll correct that in a moment. And I don't really have any more boarding charges. Damn it. Burn retros, you're foiling me again. But we can easily grab that point. I want you chasing after that. Oh, burn retros again. Silly me. Now I guess we're gonna need some way to know when I'm burning retros. Although Tyranids is just an annoyance. I go into that assuming when I use my rush ability it automatically turns off the burn retros, but that's not really true. The sad fact is, and it's quite. I have to constantly remember that fact. Kill it.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
You don't quite have the firepower anymore, and this thing's gonna die to a frigate.
The enemy
If I have my way, that is.
25% of strategic points.
If I can get my way, which is entirely possible just because of how awkwardly close we are right now, especially if I'm launching fighters and not really bombers, this is gonna die to a frigate.
50% of strategic points.
That's the one way you don't want to go. Ooh, we even got a mutiny too. Oh, again, because it was the flagship, it just died. If those were torpedoes, though, I'd probably be in a world of trouble. It goes without saying. Since I don't really have much of a defense to effectively deny, torpedoes the best. So that's something we're going to have to really practice on. But let's grab the objectives and finish this up now. And have you regenerate health because of that thing. Well, apparently they have multiple frigates. I just heard like 3 of them go off at once. So, no, you're not allowed to mutiny, not when everything's going well. What kind of logic's in your circuits to kind of have you panic when you're about to win?
There will be no escape.
Yeah, well.
What is your
Yeah, just ram it and kill it. It has the armor for it too. But it is also about to break again, damn it.
relocating?
I want to kill you. Thank you. The one thing I want.
Strategic points.
Not really for Christmas, but I'll go with it. Is it good enough of a present?
How may I serve?
And I can't quite regenerate my health there that quickly. But I think I'm regenerating more health than its lance rate of fire, in all seriousness. It is still breaking my morale though, which is what which I can't actually have it recover. No! I didn't want that frigate to die. It killed the flagship, for crying out loud. That's not something you're supposed to see. But it happened nonetheless. On the plus side, nothing actually died as far as the main fleet itself, oddly enough. Although, I guess that was me putting good use to my shrouds hanging behind the tomb ship when they started taking damage. I just did not really get much use out of my Scarab Swarm, sadly. They're still talking about Space Marine DNA and all that. I'm completely lost in this conversation now. I'm sorry I'm not able to contribute. But that was fun there. I do, out of all the Necron fleets, I'm at least enjoy the potential of a single tomb ship, but I really want my shrouds back. Even though they're arguably the light cruisers that are affected the least by having only 2 charges to their skills, as well as the capture speed, that change is still well felt though, without a doubt. No. I'm trying to think of what am I missing on the quota, what I had in mind. Oh, boarding chaos, that's what I had in mind. I don't know, I don't have the slightest clue how to make this work. Corn is probably the way to go, just to go all out on the boarding damage, but... well, really, it comes down heavily to the weaponry on these Stigs. Does it even have enough weaponry to potentially even kill a single ship? Just 2 lance turrets and a couple of... yeah, just a bunch of turrets, which are almost all but pointless there. Really, for killing frigates is what's most practical. So maybe I do go all in on the boarding attempts. It's just a question... I don't think I need Chaos Space Marines. This gives me 10% additional boarding for all my assault actions, I believe. Whereas, if I understand Helldrake Forge and the Khorne Berserkers, this should bring it up to a 50% chance of just my broadside boarding actions to do critical troop damage. Which would make it really damn effective. At least on average, I'll be doing 2 troop damage for every assault action, so that should be worth doing. Yeah, there's a lot for me to read here. I think for the quality of the stream, I should just keep on going. Pretend nothing's going on under my nose. Although I'm kind of intrigued to go scroll back and read through most of this, since we are talking about Warhammer lore after all. What would be the second skill I want, though? I guess it heavily depends on what I'm up against in all seriousness. But this will be tricky to do. Without a doubt, this is not very practical, since I'm going to be using up all my boarding assaults, or all my assault ships there pretty quickly. Unless I want to go with the... I'm trying to remember. Do the Grand Cruisers have 4 charges, or do they only have 3? I honestly can't remember. Because that might make a big difference on whether I go heavier ships or not, like the spoilers. Only thing I don't like is their slower speed. But they have a lot better longevity, at least, for the boarding. But then arguably I have less broadside boarding, possibly, at least burst-wise. Yeah, I think how it's supposed to work, it's really weird, but I think it launches like fighters with your boarding assaults, I think is what it's supposed to do. Because the Helldrakes are technically a flyer. Because it doesn't seem like it does a whole lot with the one time I used Siege. Because I took the upgrade every time it got critical troop damage, it would put the ship on fire as well. And I don't think it really did any fire assaults because I was still technically at 10% chance of critically hitting. Or 10% chance of critical troop damage, rather. At least that's how I think it works. It just can be confusing because we're talking about several different things for boarding. There's boarding assault action, there's assault action, which almost sounds like the exact same thing. But I think how it works is it actually augments and enhances my broadside boarding, because hell, well, I haven't the upgrades aren't technically locked in yet, so never mind that thought. We'll talk about that after, but it still will say 10% critical hit, unless I take the Chaos Space Marines here. Yeah, assault action, that's the most... I'm assuming that's the most generic possible, and I do believe that it changes this to 20%. But with the Helldrakes and the Khorne Berserkers, we won't see that go up at all. It'll still say 10% is what I'm trying to get at. But Adeptus Mechanicus is the perfect fleet to try us against, since they are arguably the easiest to win this way, just because of their weaker troop complement. We'll see how it works. Well, that's not entirely true, but I can launch fighters to kind of deal with their point defense. I can't just launch all assault parties. I would have to have some kind of fighter crafts to soak up the point defense, is what I'm trying to say. But I need to do the damage necessary because I only got 3 uses of these Dread Claws after all. And it may be too slow just because I'm waiting for the recharge. of
We'll follow your
my boarding
command.
actions.
For now. Your orders.
So the boarding action still says 10%, even with
Setting course
2 upgrades that technically increases that chance.
for the War Master.
So that's all I know there. But if I were to take the Chaos Marines, this will at least enhance to 20%. So now is the question how to best approach this. I'm confident I can kill off a ship amazingly fast. But the problem then becomes I have to wait for my boarding actions and assault ships to be available
We
again.
stand ready.
That's the only problem there.
Setting course.
And let me... how much damage would I do? This does not benefit from any of my upgrades, so... this would be like 10 to 15 troop damage.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
My
You have
boarding
seized a
actions...
strategic area.
yeah, my broadside boarding actions in theory should do 2 troop damage every time, for every assault.
War Master.
On average, at least. So I can count on that doing a good amount of
Show us
damage.
our victory.
And then I have the assault ships, the Dreadclaws to help.
We stand ready.
Only one way to know how this works. I'm just waiting for an opportunity to dive in there
We are
aggressively.
unstoppable.
Because it goes without saying, I am
You
going to
have
lose
seized a
horribly
strategic
if I
area.
try and win by a firefight.
Reporting.
And they're nicely clumped up too.
Show us our victims.
And I am revealed, so they have extended sensor range. That's all we know here.
Your orders. To the slaughter.
I have enough speed to kind of get in there really quickly. I'm just going to have to be mindful I'm going to burn all my combustion gauge, probably.
As the War Master wills. Enemy ship sighted. Swift Death Squadron seeking prey. Dead claws away. For the War Master.
I burnt all my combustion gauge, but
I cannot.
let's get all this boring action in. And there goes my engines, but that's because it's taking all the damage too.
Repair that damage at once. We'll follow your command for now.
Dang it, and your engines are permanently gone, so I can't do anything about this with my bloodletters.
We are unstoppable. For the War Master.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
So my flagship's kind of useless because it can't use its bloodletters.
Powers.
But we are getting engine critical hits.
Reporting. Necrons activated. We'll follow your command. For now. Dead claws away.
Now I gotta spread out the damage. This flag,
Attack successful, Master.
not much I can do aside for more boring damage, I guess.
Hot. Your orders.
You have seized a strategic area.
Setting course.
And I got 15 boring actions there.
We stand ready.
Can you get out? You actually survived somehow. That crew's almost gone, but almost doesn't cut it. I would love to be able to get the bloodletters in. I'm not gonna get it.
War Master wills. We stand ready. Moving to those coordinates. Hull breaches detected.
So I'm taking a lot of damage here, but
Engines hot.
we got boring parties coming up now, so I can at least kill off the rest of this crew maybe. I just don't want to launch too much of my fighters.
Ship.
The enemy is seizing one of your strategic areas.
That's the only problem there. I don't want to launch everything. Because that crew is almost gone. Almost. 50-50 chance maybe if that dies.
Command.
Okay, drifting Hulk there.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Nope, they're panicking.
Boarding attack successful, Master.
Can we get out?
Top-attack.
So damn close.
Fight on.
So damn close, and even then it was only because of morale.
Wills. For the War Master. Set Engines to full ahead.
Called Arms is going to slow that down a bit, but we still have some work to do.
Retros activated.
I just am stuck waiting for this cursed thing to actually work is the problem. Or become available.
Death Squadron seeking prey.
Still 20 seconds, so yeah.
For the ruinous powers.
The flagship's gonna probably lose its crew, but
Reporting.
if I can't kill off enough of their crew, they can really easily just reactivate it, and I'll run out of steam.
Show us our victims.
It does feel satisfying, but
The war
it's the cool. I'm basically stuck waiting for a damn cooldown is the problem right now.
ready.
But with your generator gone, that helps.
Guards. Moving to those coordinates.
And their ships can easily explode on me too. Let's keep that in mind with my engines being destroyed.
War Master. Setting course.
I do have shields, gonna soak a little bit of that, but now they're gone.
We are unstoppable. Engines hot.
I can at least hide this ship.
25% to strategic
I think.
points.
I'm being revealed by the flagship, which is almost about to lose its crew.
Moving
Okay.
to those coordinates.
Crew is gone. Now, how much do you want to bet they're all going to explode in a moment?
Swift Death Squadron seeking prey.
Because I got engines back up here. 4 seconds till that engine comes back up.
Setting course.
And,
We are
and my engines are
unstoppable.
permanently destroyed.
Swift Death
Now, the
Squadron
only thing I can really
seeking
think of is
prey.
actually destroy their point defense and maybe get some more value here.
Adjusting rotation.
Because I have no firepower to deal with them.
Wills.
But I still have boring actions.
Show us our victims.
I still have lightning strike.
For the ruinous
I just gotta kill off
powers.
this crew, otherwise, again, they can just reactivate their ships easily.
We'll follow your command. For now. For the War Master.
This is a really silly exchange.
To the slaughter.
And I have more speed than them, keep that in mind.
Show us our victims.
Oh, and your engines just died at a bad time too, but on the plus side, so did theirs.
Our minions rampage through their ship. For the ruinous powers.
Come on. Oh, my fighters need to be recalled, that's what's going on.
Your orders.
I was wondering what was happening there. I'm panicking. I'm stuck watching cooldowns, since realistically my weapons can't do anything in this matchup.
Moving to those coordinates.
We'll kill off the crew there.
Sighted. Reporting. Engines hot.
Can this at least survive?
Your orders.
It can I can repair it,
Setting course.
but since I'm too afraid to grab that objective because you know what's gonna happen. You know damn well exactly what's gonna happen there.
Swift Death Squadron seeking prey. We stand ready.
I know, and they killed off the cruiser.
As the War Master wills.
And sadly, this has enough crew to kind of reactivate one ship at a time. I thankfully still have lightning strikes, but I should not win this. I could do damage to it over time, but not much else.
We are unstoppable.
Since I need to kill your shields if I want to continue to board you.
Engines hot.
And you're just gonna ram me to death.
Setting course.
You should ram me to death in all
Moving to those
seriousness.
coordinates.
Because I can't... Up and you reactivate that ship
Follow
too.
your command. For now.
Let's fix that.
For the War Master. For the ruinous powers.
They have no point defense, so all I can hope for is really lucky critical hits on my bombers to destroy this engine right now.
Show us our victims.
Only thing I can hope for there, although
Doomfire's unleashed.
I could fire... Again, my frigates could have tried and do some damage, but this is a lot of bombers still.
Reporting. We can't take much more. Reporting.
It's surviving, but it's not going to survive long enough, alas.
For the ruinous powers! Retro's activated.
Okay, something weird's going on there. You're not getting the best control. Ah, damn it.
Escape!
In theory, this is really close, but still.
We
I
stand
feel.
ready!
Well, in all honesty,
We've lost the ship!
the one thing that could have fixed this is if I used my bloodletters in that first strafing run. Just randomly firing on anything could have made a big difference. It means I don't have to invest as much in just killing off the crew of one of those cruisers. But still, there is some satisfaction to it, but I don't like the feel of it just because I'm waiting for the cooldowns among all things. I'm waiting like 70 seconds or more for everything to come back online to really do my damage. And if I try and disengage from them, I'm kind of vulnerable to taking a lot of Nova Cannon fire. There's promise, there's potential otherwise, but at the same time we're dealing with probably the one faction that's at least weakest against the boarding. And it still was only a close match too. So, I don't know what to honestly think. But again, using the bloodletter parties and killing off their ships. Only reason I don't like fixating on a single ship is because Call to Arms can mitigate so much of that damage for very little cost to them if I boarded everything on just one ship, which is why I at least like to board 2 ships if I'm going to go so boarding centric. At least Space Marines, Tyranids, well, Tyranids are all about boarding, I take that back, so Space Marines in general, let's focus on them. They at least have enough firepower and at least dumbfire torpedoes to still kill a secondary ship, even if I were to board at least another one, like the flagship or something. While that's getting killed and harassed and while it's in Call to Arms, I could just fire torpedoes on something else and ideally kill it at the same time as when their crew goes down. Ideally, especially since I can fire boarding torpedoes at range, giving me time for said torpedoes to recharge for the close range engagement. If it seems promising enough as is. But otherwise, do I want to try it again is the honest truth. I don't expect it to go too well, because with these upgrades it encourages me to get in close. I'm just wondering how to best make it more practical. I don't really like the spoilers since they are much more slower, a lot more bulkier, so they're much more vulnerable to said boarding, well, torpedoes and ramming. And since I'm trying to use my fighters to kind of screen for the assault crafts, I'm not really getting any defensive fighters to deal with those torpedoes either. That's a bit of the problem. But I'm going to give it one more try. See if we could get a different faction, get a little more of a sample size as it were. I don't know how practical it is otherwise. But then again, chaos in general is just about slow damage anyway. So the trick then becomes how can I safely disengage and minimize a lot of that damage, because my battlecruiser lost its engines permanently just with that one strafing run. And this is not much of a sample size if we're just going to get a rematch, sadly. But it was close before, so it could still work again. I just gotta remember to use my bloodletters to get at least 10 additional troop damage on one of their cruisers. And I ideally want to kill their engines, you would think. Because that is kind of what they're doing to me. It's impossible for me to board them properly, let alone it makes me vulnerable to ramming if I don't destroy their engines. But I'm interested to optimize this some. The flagship conveniently got focused down. And sadly, Brace for Impact does not help me with avoiding critical hits, so that would have not done a whole lot either. It allows me to survive a little bit longer for more boarding though, so I have to keep that in mind. Okay, I was wondering what was going on there. I separate my state groups, that's why. And these frigates can do a noteworthy amount of damage if they get separated. It's the point defense that makes their torpedoes useless, so I gotta be open-minded with having these guys dash in there and do some damage too. But that'll be later on. Let's not kid ourselves. They're gonna do no damage with the torpedoes just because all 5 of them are close together. So they might just hang back. I don't need them for vision. Not in this matchup anyway.
As the War Master wills.
Now, do I just want to boost forward since I'm likely going to get revealed anyway? Going after the deck might not be a terrible idea either, but how do I get that additional morale damage to kind of make it work? Imperial Navy is easy. You destroy the deck and then you have a Kulex's Assassin on hand to immediately cause a mutiny, but the boarding damage itself is not really all that significant. By the time I kill off the crew, I only did like, what, 300 morale damage? And not really any hull damage to compound on that, so maybe going after the deck's not a good idea. I'm just wondering how to get a little more value out of the boarding. Yeah, they're more susceptible to morale damage, but even then, with the 25 modifier, they're only taking, what, 375 morale? Actually, that's not true. They lose half the morale, but half their current morales, I think it is. It's worth trying. Let's see how this works. Because this is about experimentation. I don't realistically think this has promise, at least currently. I am just curious how the morale behavior is when I kill off their deck.
Seized a strategic area.
We'll follow your command for now.
Because if they suffer morales, then they can't rally it. If they are down to like a third of their crew.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Well, I don't even need to dodge this, potentially. Nope, I need to boost with this one.
Engines hot. Your orders. Set engines to full ahead. Your orders.
I didn't want you to boost, but you're gonna dodge anyway. Easily enough.
For the War Master. Show us our victims. Setting course.
Well, they're burning a lot of their charges, that's all good for me.
Orders.
But they're all eyed Omniscience, aren't they?
We are unstoppable.
Well, those were 3 regular Nova cans. Now I just gotta get in close, because I'm leaving myself vulnerable to lance fire at the moment. But at least this will be a better bit of a strafing run for me. Especially if these 2 take point, they're gonna take a lot of the damage first. Since they're after all going after the flagship right now.
We stand ready. Swift Death Squadron seeking prey. Reporting.
So that's gonna take heavy broadside boring. I wasn't paying attention. This is why I need to focus, damn it.
Show us our victims. For the ruin
This is why paying attention is so damn important there. I didn't even hear the hum because of my own commentary.
Engines hot. Reporting. We are unstoppable.
And sadly, this is going to die a miserable death because of that. This is kind of why I need to get aggressive, isn't it?
Your orders. Boarding attack successful, Master.
So cold arms on that, that's good there, but
Swift Death Squadron seeking prey.
now we'll board that. I have no stasis bombs this time, sadly. This is probably why I should have gotten super aggressive. Since I don't care about my... Let's see, they go fast 600 unit speed.
We stand ready. Moving to those coordinates.
So let's see if we can have these evade, because I'm not going to evade all that greatly here.
Setting course.
All my engines are temporarily damaged too.
Show us our victims.
And then you're just going to fire some Nova cans at me there.
Reporting. Engines
All because of
hot.
that brief period not paying attention. Alas.
For the ruinous
Since they did call the arms, but I need to launch some fighters to finish these off.
Swift Death Squadron, seeking prey. Dead claws away!
And until their deck's permanently destroyed, they don't lose any penalty to their morale.
Your orders!
It's the one important thing to note.
Enemy ship sighted!
The enemy
Can I
is
board? I
seizing
can
one of your
board, at least
strategic
now.
areas.
But this is probably not going to go well this time.
We cannot take much more. We are unstoppable.
And they still have plenty of morale even with the deck permanently destroyed, so I don't see that having a mutiny anytime soon,
We stand ready.
if I were to be serious.
We'll follow your command. For now. For the war
And I don't quite have enough firepower left either.
We must escape. We stand ready. We are unstoppable.
Since you have no more fighter or assault crafts to kind of board now.
We cannot take much more.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
You're close to a mutiny there, but
Engines
I need
hot.
something to do the additional damage, which is not likely to
Fires unleashed.
work very well.
As the War Master wills.
The bombers were able to do it, but
Adjusting rotation.
this is just not going to go well.
Reporting.
Safe to say. My flagship didn't even get a chance to do anything just because I wasn't paying attention to it.
The enemy has accumulated 25%.
Had to really listen and pay
strategic
attention to them
points.
not actually moving.
We've lost the ship.
Well. Again, the flagship did absolutely nothing, and it's safe to say how much that hindered my boarding potential. Have that being isolated really quickly. Well. We'll go back to Massive Claw, see if we can use a different kind of unconventional fleet to just eat them. Eat the Mechanicus. If we're going to get into our rematch, that is. This will be fun to try out. Especially if it's only a single frigate like I remember. They do, well, I wasn't paying attention to that disruption overcharge, but I need to be mindful of that. Let's finish this off with possibly more Massive Claws. Maybe another win, maybe. Although the Krakens are really damn important for this kind of fleet too, with their 83 armor and the regeneration to go with it. We're not going to get the rematch. Why couldn't I face off against Imperial Navy when I was Chaos? At least for that second match. They do lose morale when the deck's destroyed, but it has to be permanently destroyed, not temporary. Otherwise, you still keep your morale when... Yeah, because with orcs... Well, so sorry, I hit the stand there, the mic stand, but orcs with their morale, it's... When ships get destroyed also cause morale damage as well. That's a lot of the big factor, but when you literally have no firepower for destroying said ships, that makes it tricky to do. I'm relying exclusively on boarding, and it's the same kind of problem that Tyranids, or at least the boarding-centric type of Tyranids, have to deal with too. Is trying to get that... They can't really rely on morale, but at the same time they do have some ways to cause the mutinies. I just don't know how practical it would be to have Psychic Scream. It's almost as good as a Culexus Assassin though, with that said. So I shouldn't knock on it too hard. And you're Group 4, let's fix that. Group 1, Group 2, and Group 3. And actually, I kind of want everything over here, because after all, that's kind of how the map layout is. It's my first time actually looking at said map, so I'm just now oblivious that I'm kind of deploying poorly. And I don't think I want to grab objectives. I need as many ships as possible for front line. Aside for this one here, maybe. Which even then I deployed poorly, didn't I? Okay, noisy rushes. I can rest easy there. And just, we'll see if we can eat any of these ships. I just don't want to rush too much, but I also need to spread these out to minimize the morale damage. Or not morale damage, but the gain identified for by dank frigates. So we'll hang these back for a time
The
being.
enemy has seized a strategic area.
You can keep going, because you're likely going to get on the side. Likely to, anyway. Nope, beacon. That is going straight down here. Gonna have to be careful there. I'm gonna have to maneuver around said beacon, which means I'm pincered along this corner. And make sure I at least get this one objective. Yeah, good thing I caught you. You were about to fly out, weren't you, you sneaky bugger? Thought you can disobey my orders?
You have seized a strategic
Not this
area.
time. It's still going. I should... Come on, get moving, damn it. It's because I selected the entire group and only half of them was burned retros, so... That's why it was complicated there. I at least understand that mechanic. It's just the rushing that I dislike a little bit. Where it doesn't turn off my burn retros. I should brace for impact to kind of give me some more point defense value. And my regeneration immediately indicates that. They're probably going to see where I'm at. And they only marked 2 ships. Just get going, grab the objective. Hell. Up. Damn it. I want to kind of have this other one take its place, but not happening here. And sadly, I got 3 fire assaults too.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Sadly, these ships don't get to regenerate the best, but it's only a single ship and you only got 1 melta torpedo salvo left. And the Kraken is no longer marked. And these are what? All overlords, it looks like?
You have seized a strategic area.
Fire all your shots at a dang little Kraken. It's taken a lot of critical hits, it goes without saying, though.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
So this is going to hurt a little bit, but let me at least ram these. That was not the ship I want to ram with. Damn it. Now just try and eat everything. So mass chaos. And do I have any spore clouds in here? No, I don't. I gotta keep in mind, this thing is really vulnerable to dying, so I don't want to get additional rams. This is a bit of a mess, it goes without saying.
The enemy has accumulated 25% of strategic points.
But I will happily take it, with how it's going so far. Although I had to miss that one Kraken ram, and I'm bitter about that. Everyone, get to ramming speed. You know your job. Num num num. Simple, but it seems to be working. Don't ask me how. This is a bit of a mess. It goes without saying.
You have accumulated 25% of strategic points.
And I'm ramming myself again. That's how cluttered this mess is. Yeah, fire assaults are vicious against orcs. Yeah. Oh, I just realized we have frigates still, so this match isn't over yet. Although I am killing my own ships still. Hopefully none of which was the flagship. I don't know what kind of weird match we just involved ourselves in, but it paid off. Because you think my opponent was, well, my opponent may have fixated on the Krakens a little bit, because in all honesty, I kind of want the Krakens to be the focus of their attention, because their smaller profile makes them great at dodging or at least mitigating torpedoes. They have the A to Z armor with regeneration, so they're amazing at weathering off a lot of the macro can shots too. Yes, this mess was, well, I would say that was more like a brunch. I got to mix in my breakfast and my lunch in there. The best of both worlds, good God. I'm just scratching my head. How the hell am I winning these matches? Sure, getting this around is a big deal. Because after all, I didn't pay attention to how many frigates they had, but they were caught completely. Well, it's not like they were flying towards my third fleet, because after all, I had 3 Krakens and a Void Prowler out in the middle of nowhere that were like 2-3 minutes late to the actual fight. So I was technically like a quarter of my fleet down, and still it was looking really damn promising. The big thing I gotta keep in mind is I have to make that as chaotic as possible, for the simple reason of this flagship cannot die. It either stays out of the fight entirely, which hurts a lot of my potential, especially with what Void Lurker has. Void Lurker alone is just devastating. It allows me to chase anything that gets weakened or isolated, and then potentially kill it. Although the spore fields, sure, I did not use my spore fields to my best of my ability, but you can see just how amazing they are when the Krakens start finally dying at point blank range. They get slowed down so much, they're burning all their combustion gauge in a panic, and they're taking additional damage because they're moving into spore fields. Since, sadly, they don't take any damage at all if they stand still, or they could ignore a lot of that damage with navigational shields, but even then I don't think that's a lot of damage in general to really be excited about. It's just additional damage to help compound that fact, if nothing else. But damn, we won against Drukhari, we won against the Imperial Navy, and the other faction was Adeptus Mechanicus, was it? I honestly can't remember. I want to play more with the Massive Claws. I don't expect it to win every match, but good God, is that just mindless fun. It's a lot like the orcs, but at least I have the rush to kind of just jump around and kind of evade stuff too. It does have a little bit of that finesse, especially with them relying on their shroud mechanic. There's a lot of fun to be had if those 3 matches alone were any indication. But I think I might call it a day there, at least for now. If I do a later stream, it's likely not to have anyone tune in, but I'm thankful to at least get a stream in. If I can at least make this a routine to at least get one weekend stream in, then I can feel good about myself. Help keep that exposure of Armada 2 going a little bit, especially with the summer sale going on too. Well, not yet, but in a couple weeks' time, I'm assuming. I don't know what exactly the date would be for the summer sale. But even then, the campaign is due in about a week and a half. There's a lot of stuff to still be excited about. There is going to be some surge of players coming back at the end of the month alone, either by the summer sale or the campaign itself. I just hope they stay around, if I were to be honest. But anyways, thank you everyone for tuning in. It was fun. I missed out on a lot of that dang conversation about Space Marine lore, so I'm gonna have to catch up on what the hell I just missed there. And hopefully I will see you all again soon, if not next week.